thank you, Dries, for joining us. It's always a pleasure to have you on.
Thanks for having me, and congrats, by the way, for this special episode. I'm pretty
Thank you
excited
so
about
much.
it.
Yeah, we're pretty excited. We've been thinking for a while on how to celebrate. So I think we have a couple of nice things planned this time around. So this is episode 500. Whenever you hit a milestone, it's always a time to kind of reflect. It's been 13 years for us. We've been having some fun looking back through the catalog, some of our older episodes. You're also somebody who has had a project that's been running for quite some time and has hit a couple of milestones. So I'm curious, when it comes to Drupal,
Mhm.
how do you stay motivated to keep going and growing with Drupal 24 years after it initially was launched?
Yeah, and almost 25 actually. But yeah, we launched 24 years ago. But I probably was already working on Drupal now, even though it wasn't released yet, sort of 25 years ago. I mean, I think I think there's maybe two things. One, I have a lot of variety in what I do, and I think that is very helpful. I've learned to do so many different things. Like some days I'm working on strategy, other days I'm working with the Drupal Association. I mean, it just changes all the time, which helps, keeps it kind of fresh. But I would say I'm also motivated by the impact that Drupal has. I feel like what we're doing matters. We're helping so many organizations. I was just at a conference and Acquia engaged and we gave an award to an organization in the UK and they help people in need with food banks. And they have 432 food banks that they run of Drupal. So they have all these Drupal sites and switch to Drupal. And not only are they serving all of these people in need, but they also are able to increase the donations to their organization by 71%.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it's like, and this is just one story, but like there's thousands of stories like that, tens of thousands of stories like that. How Drupal is helping directly and indirectly organizations that do amazing things in the world, from these NGOs and nonprofit
Yeah.
organizations to government organizations all around the world that are serving citizens to, you name it. And to me, that's like so inspirational, to wake up
Yeah.
every morning and to feel like I can contribute indirectly or directly, depending on how you look at it, to the success of these organizations. And in doing so, we're helping so many people all around the world. And to me, it's just like, I don't know, what else could I do that has this level of impact? Not many
Make,
things.
makes sense.
And so I feel like I'm the luckiest person to do what I do. And that's why I'm so passionate about what I do and why I've been doing this for such a long time.
So on the flip side of that, I guess the next question is, how do you, speaking of strategy, I'm sure there's a lot of competing voices on
Mm.
what Drupal should do next.
Yeah.
Do you have a trick or a method for helping to sift through that and make sure you're, you know, meeting the project's needs, the community's needs, people who are making request needs? Like, how do you decide what direction the strategy should go?
Yeah. So I've been working on the Drupal CMS or Starshot strategy in the last kind of year. And then more recently, right now, actually, it's not public yet, but we've been doing a lot of work on a Drupal AI strategy as well. And we're hoping to release that in the next, in a month or so. But I think, and I've been doing a lot of strategy work basically throughout my professional career. And it's always hard to align many people. And it's actually impossible to align everyone. And, that's okay too. You know what I mean? And I think, and it's hard because ultimately strategy is about making choices. It's about deciding what you're going to do and also deciding what you're not going to do. And you can't avoid people disagreeing with a strategy because, I mean, it's just impossible. But the, I think what helps a lot is that you start with identifying your target audience. Like, who are we building Drupal for? And then you
Yeah.
root everything that you do in serving those stakeholders. And it actually allows you to make a lot of trade-offs much more easily. I'm not saying every trade-off can be made that way, but like for Drupal CMS, we said we're really going to focus on sort of the side builder and marketing persona, like less technical people. And that dictated a lot of trade-offs. And we also said we're going to try and bring Drupal sort of down market a little bit. Not to SMB, not to the tiny little websites, but to, a little bit less enterprise websites, if you will. And
Yeah.
so that dictates a whole set of trade-offs. And so by You start by saying, what does it mean to win for us with our audience that we're targeting? And if you go from there, you get a lot of clarity very quickly, I think. So I think that's one way you can do it.
That makes
The
sense.
speed at which Starshot has
Mhm.
come about has been amazing. What do you attribute that to?
Yeah, I think I think we instilled a sense of urgency, I think, in the team. And one of the things that we never published this actually, is we brainstormed some principles by which we as a leadership team in Drupal CMS or Starshot wanted to operate. And we said, like, we have a sense of urgency is one of those principles. We have a bunch of others. And then we also brainstormed anti-patterns, basically like the behaviors that are
Oh, yeah.
opposed to the principle, like let's say bike shedding something for, two months.
Uh-huh.
We said that's an anti-pattern. Like we do not want to have that behavior in our team because we started from sort of a positive principle that we wanted to achieve, which is we wanted to go fast. And just giving you one example, but we have probably a list, I think, of 6, 7, or 8 principles and even many more anti-patterns. And as a team, we committed to that. We said, here's how we're going to work together. And and everybody had input in those, but we really felt like that was the right way to go about it. And then as we extended sort of the group of people that we were collaborating with, so like track leads, and we have an advisory board and all of these people, we kind of expanded these principles to all of them. And I think what you've seen is like you've really seen Drupal CMS come to life very quickly. And I think
Yeah.
it actually all goes back to this sense of urgency and these principles and basically reimagining in a way like how we want it to work relative to how we've done things in the past with different groups, for example. And in this case, we felt like that was the right way to go.
Yeah, I mean, I remember when you announced Starshot, before Drupal CMS was the name,
Mhm.
my thinking was like I remember you had a sense of urgency, right?
Mhm.
That was very clear to me. I remember thinking it's a great idea. It definitely like there's no harm in doing it. I had some doubts on whether the goal could be achievable, but as the year progressed and more stuff started coming out about competitors, about AI, about pre-built stuff, it started to really feel prescient
Yeah.
that like that was the time. Like I feel like it was something that would have started kind of naturally in the community probably around now,
Hmm.
but we would have really been behind the 8 ball, and it would have felt a lot more like catching up than
Yeah. Now we're
getting
leading.
out ahead.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like I think when I announced the initiative in Portland, like about a year ago, I think,
Okay.
Yeah.
I did announce it with a sense of urgency, and I named the initiative Starshot as I don't know what to call it, but as a reference to the Moonshot initiative that JFK launched, and that had a sense of urgency. Now, for them, it was, I think, 10 years or something to get a person on the moon. Obviously, I
Yeah.
gave ourselves 8 months to build Drupal CMS. But then in Barcelona, which was the next DrupalCon, which I forgot how much later that was, but like I think halfway, about like 4 months later, like I was able to show off all of these amazing innovations coming together. And I remember people being kind of blown away by some of the AI capabilities that I showed on Barcelona in just 4 months or so. And we've kept up the pace. I would
Yeah.
say like we still lead. We have some incredible things going on, and it's interesting to see also the sentiment of people in the community and outside of the community change. A lot of people, they went from, excited but skeptical to just excited, and people
Yeah.
outside of the Drupal community, like people in the WordPress community are saying things like, oh, experience builder. That's the Gutenberg that we should have built, I
Yeah.
wish WordPress had built this, or, you know, like site, recipes and site templates and all of these
Yeah.
things. Like, I know we have these multiple initiatives that are, I think potentially game changing for Drupal, from experience builder to recipes to the AI work to site templates to maybe the marketplace. And we've kind of stacked them and sequenced them so that we have amazing things happening and exciting things happening sort of the next couple of years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it for sure.
Yeah.
So I have a question for you.
Mhm.
So I've been, increasing my level of contribution recently to core itself and doing a lot of work with the core initiative to convert hooks to object-oriented. Just a couple of days ago, a patch was merged that allowed us to deprecate hook module implements alter, which
I
is,
saw that actually. Yeah. Thank you.
I'm very excited about that.
Yeah.
But doing this has had me, let's say, investigating corners of core that maybe have a couple cobwebs.
For
Maybe
sure.
are a
Yeah.
little dusty, haven't been touched in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And it got me thinking, I know day to day you're not developing Drupal itself anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
But are there any things in Drupal that in the back of your mind you were working on, you're like, I just wish this, not a big picture, not site templates, not this, I just wish this little thing here was fixed or addressed or made more robust.
Yeah. I do actually. Yeah. I mean, obviously there's cobwebs in Drupal. Like I think it's not unique to Drupal either. And actually I think we've done probably a better job than most software projects in like maintaining what we have. Anyway, one of the things that is a bit annoying to me, Nick, to answer your question, is like when you use Twig templates. I love Twig actually. I think it's very easy to use. But what makes it hard to use is actually getting to the fields in the entities and notes. And it's like a little bit ugly too, it's like something underscore something else, arrow this, underscore that, another arrow this. And it's like, you know what? I just want the status field. Like, why isn't it like status? You know what I mean? And I think there's a big barrier there to adoption. Like Twig itself is easy to use, but then, getting access to some of the data in Drupal, it's not as elegant as I think it should be or could be. And it kind of hinders the experience, I guess in this case, maybe the front-end developer experience or the contributor experience. So that's one thing that I would love to see made easier. And it actually propagates through a lot of things, even in like JSON API, it's equally kind of messy because we're kind of like exuding sort of our internal data structure, which is complex. And it's complex for the right reasons, by the way. It's very powerful and flexible, but I'm not sure all of that complexity needs to be represented in sort of the developer experience, if that makes sense.
That's actually interesting to me because I think the UI initiative or the UI suite of modules is trying to abstract a lot of that away to make, especially with single directory components, make it so that you can assign particular properties and values. But maybe there's also a level where you can assign those pre-processed variables almost to something so that you can more easily reuse them in templates. Like you said, if you want to just use the status field or something, like if there's a way to just say, because Drupal knows its own internal structure. If there's a way to kind of map those more simply so that something like Experience Builder or a Twig template can access, access that might be.
Yeah, and
powerful.
I'm sure there are workarounds, but like I was talking more about the out-of-the-box experience,
That's true too.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're getting close to our time. Any last things that you'd like to let our community know? Anything to look forward to?
Well, I think we're at this very special time in Drupal where we're really trying to grow faster. Like everything that I've been doing the last year with Drupal CMS and everybody else that is involved with Drupal CMS is all about growing faster and reinvigorate Drupal's growth. And we do need help from more people. There's a lot more to do. So consider it an invitation for people to get involved and to keep bringing the excitement. That's not just with code contributions. I know I've said this a lot, but we need help with the marketing and documentation, some of these cobwebs that you mentioned. There's just a lot to do. And now more than ever, I think we need to go fast. I mean, there's so much happening in the world, especially with AI, et cetera, that we have this unique window. And it's a window. It's not going to be here forever to reinvent ourselves, I would say, and to bring ourselves to the forefront of website building and digital experience building. So I have a sense of urgency about that, as we said, and I hope others will will feel the same. And I hope more and more organizations and individuals will get involved and become makers of Drupal CMS.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for joining us. It's always a pleasure to chat with you, and
See
see
you
you in
in 2
another 100
years.
episodes.
Or maybe sooner.
Maybe sooner.
Yeah, well, thank you for doing all these, these episodes. I think there's a lot of value in people just being able to watch and learn from you guys. So appreciate years and years of, talking Drupal. So thank you.